Here's what happened. My guess is that your business has been beating it down. You've been feeling it. It's been a little bit harder to show up and to work on your business. You might be even feeling like you're getting older and it's speeding up real fast. Those feelings that you are experiencing right now, it's natural to have that come up. But it also doesn't have to be your permanent reality. And I can tell you you're not alone in that experience because since starting my first business over a decade ago, I have felt those times where it's fucking exhausting, where it is really difficult to show up and to focus on working on the business. And there are those moments where you feel it for just how old you really feel. But in reality, you can feel younger, and then, especially if you've been in it for a long time and you're like, man, I remember when I first got started in this business, you can go back into that feeling young and vibrant and energized to want to show up for your business. It's just understanding what right now are the habits that you're focused on. And then what I want to share with you are certain habits, beliefs that I have right now that I'm focused on that have helped me to feel younger as I'm working on my business. I want to be able to share that with you for you to notice if one of them resonates for you to be able to try that out in your own life as you're working on your business. This is Make Burnout Extinct. I'm Robert David Weeks. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. And if you haven't done it yet, you can subscribe and follow the show for the latest episodes. Thank you for being here and taking this time and space for you, because I know how much you care about the people that you're serving through your business and working on your business, and to focus energy towards how to feel younger working on your business. That's a moment to celebrate. Like, you're here to figure that out for yourself. And again, I want to tell you, you're in the right place. What I want to go through are going to be those different habits I focused on. But even before that, I have this commitment that I get excited I get excited to share with you this commitment that I have made through this show, which is to share with you what it really takes to make burnout extinct. Because both headed towards hitting burnout and then hitting burnout, it can be really draining and cause a lot of unnecessary pain and suffering once you've hit burnout. And then it's a lot longer for that recovery process. And so, based off of my own personal experience of hitting burnout back in 2018, after the social media conference I founded where 500 people came together, I have a lot of insights that I get excited to be able to share with you, because I don't want you to have to get to that point where you go through a lot of that pain and unnecessary suffering. I've been there, I've done that. And I hope that this, when it comes to this show and sharing with you the insights, that it can help you to make sure that you don't head towards that direction as well, and that you can actually move towards making burnout extinct. And then again, with guests that are coming on and sharing their insights as well, being able to help to remind you that it absolutely is possible for you to make burnout extinct. And it comes back to this skill of mastering the skill of communication with your body. It is so important as an entrepreneur. It comes with the territory of feeling stressed. And so when you can master the skill of communication with your body and noticing what your body's trying to communicate to you, because it's constantly communicating. It's just whether or not we're choosing to listen. And a lot of times we can ignore the different body signals that are coming through. I did that, and that's what led me to hitting my burnout. So let's dive into it for today. How I want to kick it off is, of course, this feeling younger. What does that actually feel like? And it ties into this skill that I really do believe is such an important skill for every entrepreneur, which is mastering the skill of communication with your body. And that's where I want to start. That is such an important habit to help you to identify, what does it feel like to be younger? Like, what is that like? I think about it for body signals for me is feeling open, feeling light. Like, there's a difference where I can feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders showing up and working on the business, compared to that lightness of, like, thinking back to when I was at summer camp and just hanging out with my friends and being able to just have fun. Like, there's a difference there. And it's important to realize as you're working on your business, and you've already most likely, I'm guessing, know this, it comes with understanding that there's both the moments to be able to have incredible fun in the business, but then there's a time, and this could be the time right now for you that you've had a lot of your focus in, is this feeling drained and having to continue to show up and stay consistent with the work so that you can continue to not only sustain the business, but then the hope is to help it to grow for being able to then support the quality of life that you're creating for yourself, right? So, what is it for you? Taking this moment to figure that out. And even taking just a few seconds to, you can either write it down if you like, or just think about it of what does it feel like to be younger? And then you can connect that even back to a past experience of where you felt younger. That could have even been at the start of the business. I've had another conversation where I've shared how to feel inspired again working on your business. So it could be even going back to the beginning when you were like ready to go, nervous, but also super excited. The unknown was there. It felt like this call to adventure to go and see what is possible and what you're capable of as an entrepreneur in business, and then leaning into working on this business. But what is that for you? And then for contrast, give yourself that space to reflect on how you're feeling right now, for why you came and clicked on this, to listen to me talk about how to feel younger, work on your business. What does that feel like to be drained? For me, I think of the heaviness, constricting. I'm like closed off. I feel like the walls are in front of me, trying to block people out. It then becomes hard for me to connect with others. And that can be difficult when I'm trying to work on the business and share my mission out to the world and let people know what is going on. And so that's what it feels like for me. But what is it for you? And now that you have that contrast, I want to get into a technique that I've shared before called the truth anchor technique. And so I'm going to go through this real quick for you if you've heard of this one before. And if this is your first time, I'll share with you what to expect. What you're going to do is repeat your name 3 times by saying, my name is, and then I say, my name is Robert David. And you want to notice where you feel that in the body for signal. And I know that may be weird if you're hearing this for the first time. I'm like, oh, wait, what do you mean here? Like, feel into where that is in the body. But noticing what changes happen. Do you notice any pressure or openness anywhere in the body when you say your name? Those are signals for letting you know what resonates for you, because it's a truthful statement by repeating your name. And then what I'll get to is the next part of it is making up a name for yourself and saying, my name is whatever, and noticing where you feel that in the body, because that is for you, that does not resonate. It's not your name. And so when you can notice that feeling, you can use that to filter through all these other insights that I'll share with you, habits that I'll share with you, strategies, belief systems, so you can figure out what resonates for you. Because I go back to this quote from John Butcher, someone I really consider, one, how they're living their life. It's really incredible. And then definitely look to for insights. This quote that he has is that there is no one right way, but there is a right way for you. And I really consider that such a profound way of looking at the world, because you can get shitted on by a lot of people in your life for, you should try this strategy, you should try, this tactic or habit, or should focus in this area of life. Get that constantly. And so then it can also feel unfamiliar to show up and figure out your right way. And this is going to help to put the reps in for that. So what I want you to do is take a deep inhale through the nose and then release out through the mouth. Okay. Now you can put your hand on your chest if you like, or on your stomach, and then repeat your name 3 times. My name is Robert David. My name is Robert David. My name is Robert David. Where I feel that from my voice is coming from my chest. That's where I notice that for a connection. Now, what you can do is just swipe left like a day nap. We're going to get rid of that energy, clean it up, reset. Now you can place your hands again on your chest, stomach, and then repeat a made up name 3 times. So here we go. My name is John. My name is John. My name is John. So I notice that more up here in my head. And then if you've done this for the first, or if you're doing this for the first time and it's hard to connect to that, to where you're feeling it, do it 20 times. Like, you can do it real quick and notice any changes. But when I can realize that contrast, it's helpful then for figuring out when someone comes in and says, hey, you should try the strategy or this this tactic, I can notice when I really feel into it, where it resonates in my body. Now we have that done, I want to continue for sharing with you these different habits, as well as insights, beliefs. They all are underneath that umbrella. But first, it comes back to the understanding what's going on right now. So it can be those days that you've had a few days in a row where it's felt like the chaotic spaghetti mess. That's coming up right now. And so, or that could be coming up right now for you. And I get you. You're not alone in that either. I've experienced that a lot of times. Or it could be this like feeling of, man, it would be nice to know what the hell I'm focusing on today or the future days. I feel like I'm always in reaction mode. And then I feel like I'm never able to like play offense and get ahead. And that can be really difficult and can feel very exhausting over a long period of time. And what can happen is that can lead into then the burnout beast weapon of choice for the body's enemy number one, chronic stress, which can then lead to a one-way ticket to hitting burnout. And that I don't want for you. So I want to come at it from first high level, the strategy of short term, focusing on these habits, and then even deeper than that, understanding the belief systems as well that you could be experiencing right now, and helping you to be able to notice different perspectives here. Okay. So another deep inhale through the nose to get settled in, and then release out through the mouth. Okay. So this first one I want to share with you, I've been sharing it with my life partner, Adriana. And then she even was like, oh yeah, you tell me to do this, and then I've done it, and I do notice a difference. And then now it's like focusing on staying consistent with it. But that is movement breaks throughout the day. I've noticed if I'm sitting down and I'm working on the computer and it's been a few hours back to back, it feels heavier. Like I feel more exhausted. And then I get into what I call like sloth mode, where it's just things become slower. And then if it's like I get distracted as I'm working, I then try to distract myself and go do like something else. Or then it can be really easy for me to go down like watching YouTube videos or watch a show. And that is tough if you're constantly distracting yourself for feeling like you're making progress in the business. And so this is where with movement breaks, having that throughout the day can help you to feel energized. And then that comes back to this feeling younger, because I remember when I was a kid, I'd have like so much energy going back to the summer camp. I'd be like running around all over the place, all these different activities, having fun with my friends. So when it comes to the movement breaks throughout the day, that can be really helpful to, again, feel energized, but then you interrupt the pattern of what's happening in the work. And sometimes that can be difficult for people where you're like, oh no, I want to stay focused. But if you can create what I call, they're called time blocks, but if you can have these time blocks set up for yourself for work, what I like about them is then it becomes really helpful to put specific, like this is what I like to do with it, put specific tasks within each one of those work time blocks, and then allow the space to expand on those specific tasks. So if I have one specific focus for an episode with the podcast, diving into that, another focus for content, getting pieces of content out, focused on organizing the notes, sending out emails. It just helps me to not have everything mixed together. And then I can separate them into these different buckets throughout the day. And then the way that I can help to interrupt it so I don't go down that continuous rabbit hole and then get distracted is having this movement where I can go for a walk for just 5 minutes or 15 minutes in between. And usually I do about an hour, it is an hour for the work time blocks. And then it could be a walk, it could be a few push-ups, squats, air squats, like different things to break it up. But it could be different for you as well, for what you could try out for movement. It could be dancing, being able to blast some music and just dance and get out. If you're feeling feeling stress or tension, being able to have that way to release it out of the body. So that's one. The other one that I focus on is the food that I'm eating. So I focus on mainly whole foods, minimally processed foods to help for making me feel energized and fueled up. And what I do for the schedule is I give myself time for meals. And so I give myself time and breakfast, at lunch, and at dinner. I do meal prep as well. Like I'll make that happen. So for lunch, it can be, I can quickly get some, if it's ground turkey that I just cooked up the night before, or chicken. Like another one is chicken thighs that I'll be able to put in the oven, get that cooked, be able to have some for if it's dinner, and then save some for the next day for lunch. So that is really helpful to help me to also break up the day, because my mind, it pinballs. And so I can get into that moment where I'm pinballing all over the place. And then I feel like I'm not getting anything done. And then that can be really exhausting and then become frustrating. I can get angry at myself, and that can create more stress within my body. And again, how I think about the moments of stress is you can notice the body signal for stress. One of them is pressure that I notice for myself, usually on my like left side that comes up. And then how you can imagine it is these moments, they're like pressure balloons that fill up with stress, and your body can handle a certain amount of these pressure balloons. It has a certain amount of capacity, but if you aren't releasing the stress out actively and popping these pressure balloons, and a way you can do that is through movement is an example of that. What will happen is then you can get to a point where the burnout beast can cause your body to force you to then hit burnout is one of the ways where the stress gets released out, where it becomes how I think about it in the context of the business, having to close down the business or let go of the business because you don't have the capacity within your body to either handle the growth that's happening or the challenges. But both of those can be making you feel stressed, which over time can then lead to the chronic stress. So having these moments to break it up throughout the day, really helpful, so that my mind isn't pinballing all over the place and going down what I call these tornado thoughts that can happen. The other one that I want to get into, and it ties into this schedule that I've created for myself with the work time blocks and then for mealtime, is figuring out, you can reflect back on your past and figuring out where was a time where you felt really safe. As a kid, for me, that's summer camp. And then what I did is I actually looked at the schedule for my summer camp, and then I tied that. I took that and then brought was I try to figure out how to make working on the business fit into that schedule. And so within the schedule at camp, you wake up in the morning, flagpole, breakfast, then you get into your activities. You got activities, they have general swim, rest period, then you have lunch, and then you have other afternoon activities, another general swim, rest period, and then it goes into dinner and then like an evening activity. And I took out the activities because those are an hour long for the activity. And then I put in the work tasks that to focus on for each one of those work time blocks. And then with general swim, like that can be a time for me to either continue to work for something else or create more movement in my day. But what it did for me was I felt safe back then. I remember what that feels like. And I felt younger back then. I felt safe. So then I was feeling energized. I felt like myself. And then what's really cool is my nervous system then was able to adjust and become familiar. I mean, this is how I imagine it for how I'm feeling, is by adjusting to that schedule of the camp schedule and then connecting it with the work that I'm doing in the business. I wasn't feeling as stressed because I could come back to these moments throughout the schedule that reminded me of back when I was a kid at this summer camp. And so then I'm feeling safer in my body, then I can feel more energized and actually get more done in working on the business. And then by the end of the day, I'm not feeling so exhausted. I then know when I'm gonna, move on to the next task. So I can make sure I map out the day for what I'm gonna focus on. But I'm not also looking at the rest of my schedule. Like I'm just going off of a timer on my watch, and then being able to realize when I have meetings, like I know, okay, this is going to be at this certain time. Like I'll make sure to adjust that for meetings. But it's just helps me to understand, to have structure, which I think is so important as an entrepreneur. and you've been working on this for a few years, there can be so many new ways to work on the business and to move forward and to grow, so many different strategies, and it can be overwhelming. And so if I can have a structure in the schedule that reminds me of when I was a kid, felt safe, felt energized, that's going to make me feel younger showing up into business. I'm going to have more fun. I'm going to be able to connect in new ways with either people I'm talking to or in the work that I'm doing. And that has been such a powerful game changer recently for me, is connecting to this schedule format. And so for you, it's figuring out when was a time where you felt safe as a kid, and then what was the schedule that was built around that for structure that you could then get creative and connect it to how you're working on your business. So then the next one I want to get into with that one, because I know that one was a lot. So let's do a deep inhale through the nose, exhale out through the mouth, get settled back. So we'll sit back into it. So deep inhale and then release. Awesome. And then swipe left, get that energy out. The next one is helpful for anything you're putting out for marketing or projects that you're building while you're working on your business. Because again, I know how much you care about the people that you're serving and this mission that you're on, but you can also get stuck in wanting it to be perfect and then overthinking what you're trying to put out there. And then it gets to the point where you don't actually do it. You push it off. And then days go by, weeks, months can go by. So I go to the 80-20 rule, this Pareto principle, where I try to get it to the point where it's at least 80% of what I would like it to be put out there. And then I just do it. I let it go. And then I celebrate. I remind my body that this is what I want. I want to put it out there. I can always improve it over time with more repetition, but at least let me get it out there. So then I feel like there's progress that's being made. And then when you can feel that momentum, it can be a lot easier to continue that momentum too. So this can be so helpful, is just taking the 80%, get it out there. And then it's reminding yourself that you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And so you don't have to put so much of that energy towards overthinking. And what you can remind yourself is that if this has been really exhausting for you and you just feel like you're not making a lot of progress, well, then try this, switch it up. Because I know how hard it can be to let go of this belief of like, I gotta have it. It must be perfect. So I get you. You're not alone in that. The next one I want to get into is how you can think about it. It's called the Parkinson's law. How I connect to it is when I wait till the last minute to get something done, where it's like, all right, I have to get it done. It's got to get out there. I've been pushing it off for too long. This is the last moment I can do this. And that could be happening for you as you're waiting till the last minute. You're not getting ahead. It feels like you're reactive and always trying to play catch up. So it's remembering, if you have a certain amount of time, usually what can happen is you'll wait till the last minute. And then what will be difficult is all that stuff can stack up over time with the schedule. And so that's where the schedule of having these work time blocks has been really helpful for me. It's like, okay, I know I got this work time block for this certain amount of time. Let me get it done in this certain amount of time and do the best I can, connect it back to just get it to 80%, whatever that is, around 80%, to get it out for whatever it is that I'm working on. And so it's helpful to just remember that if you're feeling like you're waiting till the last minute, you're like, what's wrong with me? Why am I keep doing this? And you go down those tornado thoughts and it becomes exhausting. And you can even feel stressed about that. It's just a reminder that this is natural. It can happen. And so realizing that and then creating a structure around that to support you, that's where the work time blocks makes a big difference. I've noticed in my own day as I'm working on the business. Then the last one I want to share with you is committed to making this business work. This is coming at it from a belief, from the belief system. I really like this other insight from John Butcher, where you can either have 100% commitment or 99% commitment. And the issue with 99% commitment to this business is then always in the back there somewhere, you have the potential of doubt, or the doubt is there of this potentially not working. And so every day you have to make the decision of, I'm going to show up for this business, but that can be really exhausting. And so It's giving yourself this space to commit 100% to it, to remind yourself that you are going to figure out a way. Because I go to this principle of immense potential. And it states something like you have more potential within you than you could ever develop in your lifetime. So if things aren't working out right now, you have to remember you have so much potential within you that you can tap into. And it does take courage to tap into that, but you have the courage there, and it's just waiting for you to tap into it. And the courage to be able to move forward and make this happen for yourself. And over, since starting my first business over a decade ago, I've had those moments of doubt. They've been there. And then it's having to remind myself of like, I'm 100% committed to this. And it can take repetition of committing to this, making that decision every day, where you then get to that point where you feel that in your nervous system of like, there is no other way. I'm going to figure out how to make this work. And you can come back to this principle of immense potential to remind you of what you really are capable of. And then being able to get excited to tap into that and notice what could happen for the doorways of possibility that could open up for your life. What I can tell you is by making that decision, which I've made, I notice a change in how I show up, and then being able to tap into more confidence within myself of I am capable of this. I'm going to figure out a way. And it's such a beautiful gift that you can give to yourself. But it does take time, and giving yourself that space and that reminder of this principle and the 100% commitment to figuring out how to make this business work. What I want to tell you, if you haven't heard it yet today, is I believe in you. You have the capabilities within you to listen to the signals from your body and to make the adjustments on a habit level, and then even deeper than that on a belief system level. And so through all these that I went through, it's going back to the truth anchor technique to notice which one resonates for you that you can try moving forward after this conversation and implement today. Because these you can implement real quick for some of the short term, and then on the longer term, what steps, what actions can you take to reinforce that this is going to be a focus for you? Because it is possible for you to feel younger working on your business. It's just making sure that you realize within you that it is possible. You've got to remind yourself of that. Similar to is reminding yourself that it is possible for you to make burnout extinct, which in the simplest way I can explain it for the answer is to feel more energized than drained in your life. You got this.